Is there a quick way to paint evergreens?
Evergreens? Like, you mean like pine needle kind of? Like a fern style?
Evergreen tree.
Evergreen? They're like a fern kind of style.
Not with tiny needles, I guess. I'm not sure what Lynn was looking for either.
I was just looking for the fastest way to do an evergreen when you're doing a bunch of them in one painting.
Very similar layout as the fern, but you're going to do each of those strokes a little bit more. Either you're going to separate it with a bunch of little tiny little, like this, like, you know, those evergreen trees. Is that what you're talking about? You have to send me a picture.
Yes, in one picture.
Yeah, definitely. You're going to have to forget about the background of some, because some are going to be, you know, you're only going to see the ones that are out in front, in different directions. I was actually playing around with this idea. That's why I printed these out, to play around with this kind of fern style. And I never came back to it. It was one of those class ideas.
Can you use, I guess a feather brush or something similar to do like pine needles and whatnot on a tree?
Yeah, definitely. And also Donna has some new brushes out now that have small little feather brushes. You guys see those? I just got them in. They're smaller than her feather brushes. They're quite nice. Or you guys can cut them like I show you in my painting hacks. I just take old brushes and I cut them. But yeah, definitely, you know, getting that. Let's see what page I can get you on here. Again, when you're doing a little bit more slippy work, like liner work, you're going to add a little bit of floating medium, or you're going to add a little bit of water. And that will help to make finer, thinner lines. Right, so if your paint is really thick, you won't get really skinny lines. So you gotta dilute your paint a little bit more for like anything like a liner brush, feather brush, fan brush, anything like that. You definitely need to have that little bit more slip and a little bit more diluted. Water is definitely better than floating medium. So you have your main stem. I'll try and make a big version here. You know, you're definitely going to start at the top and then work your way out. And then if you want to do little subdivisions of areas, depends on how detailed you want to do this, right? Then you're going to do small little branches off the big branch, right? Right now it's the wrong color, but right now I got pink going on. Okay. Then you're going to start at the top of this guy, and he's going to have his own main branch. And then you can have some of these layer on top of each other. Right, you're going to play with...
You're using the feather brush, so you're just using the
on a chisel, right? Yeah, on a chisel, yeah.
The chisel, and that's all you need to do is on the chisel. Yeah. You don't lay it down flat or anything.
No, especially if you want it to be tiny little strokes and like just like wispy strokes. You can definitely go sideways and get bigger strokes. But when you want to have more wispy, like a bunch of little liner brushes, like so if you use the liner brush, it would take you forever. So you're going to use this on the chisel, and you'll get a softer look. Keep adjusting your gradients, right? I keep adding, I'm getting dirty white here, I got a really light pink here. But you see on the chisel, right, you can get a wispy look quicker, way quicker.
Mandy, when you're doing a complete tree, an evergreen tree, do you start at the top first and work your way down so you know how wide you're doing?
Yeah, definitely there's a good, you know, try to have a focus somewhere. Like I give myself a little, I don't want to get any wider than that. I'll give myself a little marker. And then I'll start working my way slowly towards that widest point. Does that make sense? Let's show you with the other way around. Right? Like sometimes we'll start off here, and then I'll give myself another little marker here. And then you got a placement to work your way slowly into that area. Does that make sense? To guide you. But you gotta remember, if you're doing it like a tree, you can't forget about the in the middle. Let me see if I can get this whiter here. Right, so you got the side, everybody does the sides, but they forget to do in the middle, down the middle. Right, so you want to have those layering slowly on top of each other. Okay, so let me show you with the flat brush. Same technique, but you're doing more like daisy chisel strokes. You're going to get a little bit more fuzzy look with, so you can go still out with your fan brushes or your flat brushes. Right, but you don't know how wide do I want to go. So if you stick a couple wide areas, that's as wide as I want to go, then it'll kind of give you little markers to work towards. But you want to go up in the middle of some of these too, right? You don't want it to be just all 2 degree. You want it to be 3D. So when we do even ferns, oops, I'm really gloppy here. You know, a lot of times they're going side, 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 side. Even with the daisy stroke, you got to remember to get the middle ones in there too. So whether you're going towards yourself or out, it's basically the same structure. Right? And this can definitely even make it look like, if you did it with browns, be like a pine cone. Easy pine cone. But it's the ones on top and the middle that people a lot of times forget. Right, so this is a lot of stuff that we learn in our wildflowers. But yeah, so it's basically the same thing, but you're just flicking out. If you want more like a pine needle look. If you're trying to get really up and close and you're doing like, you know, you want totally detailed, some of the evergreens, the ones that really smell nice, you can rub on your fingers and your fingers smell nice. Can't remember the name of them. Those definitely you're looking at building the actual leaf, right? So you got your stem, and then depending on how close up you want the illusion, right? You're building each and every little leaf, right? Little branches. I like working on one side so I don't have to flip my page 100 times. I'm doing the right-handed one easier this way. So just little tiny skinny teardrops, right? Then once you get one side placed, then you can flip over, do the other side. Every time, if I got lots of paint, I just keep going back to my blending pile to at least go and smooth out my globs. Right. Now I'm noticing that I'm running out of paint. Gotta keep adjusting my blending pile. Alright, so just a quick version for you guys. But to see how I like to work, sometimes like all on one side and then I'll go and do the other side. Definitely want to make this out a little bit longer as you keep going, right? So yeah, I'm coming with your main design, branch it off, and then start filling it in. Okay. Got a big glob there. I'll go 1, 2, 3 to work in that glob. Right. Sometimes we don't have enough paint. You gotta just work with the punches, guys. Try to see what's going on Don't see it as a challenge, like you're not doing anything right, because it's going to be so random. Sometimes you're going to end up with too much paint. You just get all excited. It still happens to me. And then sometimes you just, oh, I didn't pick up enough paint. Right? So you just kind of adjust. Oh, come back. Oh, I'm running out of my dark. Come in. I need to put a little darker petal in there. So I needed more dark in there. Right? So your eyes and your hand will all come together the more you play. You're just going to, as soon as you see something you don't like, you're going to go right over it again, smooth it out, and fix it. And it's not like a challenge. It's not like you're doing anything wrong. It's just adjustments. And whether it's your gradient, whether it's the smoothness of the stroke, maybe you want to go over it again a little bit more to smooth it out. Maybe you don't like the way the color is on the edge. You want to add a little bit more white. You know, you're always going to want to adjust or change something. Maybe you want to make it a little bit bigger. Oh, I should have went bigger. Right? So it's just adjustments. And that's an artistic mind too. That's also looking at what you did and going, I don't like that, I gotta make a change. Or, yeah, I'm liking that, keep going. Right? So inside your mind, you're kind of talking to yourself, and you're gonna be making these little adjustments. Does that kind of make sense? Because it's a very common question that I think we're striving too much for perfection on the first stroke. It's just you are going to evolve as you keep playing. Right? And then when you can look back and go, oh yeah, I like the way those ones are darker. It really looks a lot further away. This one is a lot brighter. It looks like it's closer. So when you start layering all these different branches on top of each other, definitely consider the ones that are at the furthest back are going to be a darker, duller color. Then as you're layering and layering, doesn't matter what you're layering, flowers, ferns, trees, as you come up to the foreground of right in your face, the last one that you're going to create on top, it's got to be the brightest. That kind of makes sense too with the layering, because that's where a lot of people get lost with trying to layer more than one branch on each other, as they all start to look the same if they are all too much the same. So this is a great example of that, how dark these ones are. And here I really kept pushing, add more white, tip more, right? Here I didn't care if I tipped, because I wanted them to be darker. Or dirty white is nice for a softer look. Right? But then you can see as I was playing over here, then to get it to kind of come up a little bit more 3D, I was really pushing to get that brighter white to come up. So then that way it looks a little more 3D. Right, see these center ones? A lot brighter than the side ones. Right, so if you make them all too bright, you won't get a nice soft look. Just here and there down the middle helps it make it look more round now. Alright, because these ones on the side are softer color. Does that help too? The science behind color and gradients. Okay. So yeah, there's so much to play with. It's a really deep conversation that I could probably get into for hours. We probably went over a little more time than we usually do, but that's okay, as long as you keep giving me something to talk about and explain. I love showing you guys playing with theory of it all, right? The science of it all.
I was just enjoying watching you paint that stuff.
Thank you.
I was afraid to share my very first attempt at painting my very first thing in the one Facebook group, because I thought, man, I'm not good at anything. And these women that are teaching these classes say, oh, this is so easy. This is so easy. Yeah, maybe for them, but not for me, as somebody who hadn't picked up a paintbrush in 44 years.
Yes, but you know what, also what they're trying to say maybe is one stroke is so much easier than the traditional way of painting. because in the traditional way of painting is they would get that block of dark color on. Then they would slowly keep playing with adjustments. They would keep making that a little bit lighter and keep adding more shadows and highlights, and then they would add more, a little bit more white, and then they would add, and they would probably take like freaking half an hour to do one leaf, where we're getting the highlights, the shading, the blending all in one stroke. So that's what they're comparing to, is what is so easy is when you're trying to traditionally paint, and especially when you're doing botanical, like all those little leaves and grass strokes and stuff like that, it could take somebody forever. And a lot of oil master painters, they can take like 6 months to do a painting, you know, because of the slowly graduation of layering those colors up, right? Slowly, 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 and doing washes and glazes and all kinds of different ways of changing the tones to soften things and set it back in the background again. But again, using a little bit of science, a little bit of color theory and playing, right? Again, my madness to my mind. What I see and feel when I do something, I automatically see that this one looks further away, right? So it's a little bit of playing. You definitely have to, depending on the classes that you're learning, definitely I'd try to teach you a little bit of this in all my projects, all my classes. You know, why am I thinking the way I'm thinking, you know, to get that look. And you even see me challenged a lot. I'm not getting that. It's still not looking the way I want. I've taken a big brush and I've erased it all and I started over. If nothing, I'm sure there's a few videos you've seen me do that in, right, guys?
That's one of the pros of glass canvas.
Yep, and I don't give up. And that's the
I
biggest
get
key.
and rewash. I have a brand new canvas.
That's right. Don't give up.
Like rewash.
Yeah.
You can't do that with a regular canvas or artboard or whatever that is, you know? But you can do it with this.
But trying to figure things out on your own sometimes is definitely hard. So that's what I'm offering, guys, is the mentorship. I'm always here for you. All you need to do is private message me anytime your questions. I'm always around. Even though I'm not on Facebook a lot, I definitely still will get your messages, and I do chat with everybody privately quite a bit. So definitely don't be afraid to private message me. And then any time where there's just something I can't explain to you in words, then I'm going to say, let's meet on Zoom, and then I'll just get the paint out and show you. Right? So definitely it doesn't take long to, you know, have a quick meeting. You know, and all of my videos are self-learning. You learn on your own progress, your own time. And then each one gets harder and harder and harder. So that's how my program does work. And then once you're, you know, finally ready, you know, to start layering these strokes together, then, you know, you'll get those into the 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 more. All right, guys. All right, I'm going to check these messages quickly here. Evergreens. Oh, yeah, definitely speak up if I don't see your chats, guys. Yeah. Certifications will definitely help you get you out of your comfort zone. Yeah, then we'll play around with some more evergreens on those Christmas balls. Alright, some berries and some acorns and poinsettias. Get out some bling and put some rhinestones on stuff and have some fun with them. Alright, guys. It was so wonderful seeing you guys again. Like I said, sometimes I put pieces of this on YouTube, sometimes I don't. Just depends on the hot topics, if they're repetitive or not. But definitely go through the list. You'll see a lot of those hot topics, ones that maybe you haven't even thought of yet, are still there in the list.
Thank you, Mandy.
Alright, guys.
Thank you, Mandy.
Hugs. And yes, we'll see you soon.